This is Alex from succeedatdating.com and welcome back to another video training session. In this video training session, I'm going to show you how to be memorable, how to be unforgettable in the eyes of a girl. Because the fact of the matter is, if you approach a girl today and you talk to her for like 5 minutes or so, and it's about the normal boring things, right? And a month from now, you see the same girl and you walk up to her and say, "Hey, how you going? How are you? I'm Alex. It's good to meet you. I saw you like a month ago." She's going to be like, "Yeah, I don't know that guy." So the thing is, if you tell stories, you become a lot more memorable in the eyes of a girl than if you don't tell stories. Because she'll be like, "Ah, yeah, I remember that guy. That was a guy who told me the story about him going camping and was chased by a bear. Oh, I remember that guy. Yeah, I remember you. Yeah, you're telling me about how you swam out to sea and you swam those dolphins in the Bay Area." See, when you tell stories, they remember those stories and they associate the stories with you. So the first story I want to talk about is called the wig story. So let me just write that down. Wig story. Now this is an interesting story that happened to a friend of mine, but I kind of molded it to fit me, to fit my sort of my circumstances. So you'd be talking to a girl and you say, "Listen, you remind me of a girl named Jessica." It's kind of strange, you know. She was Indian, and she was my first girlfriend, and you probably have very similarities. You know, you're like a twin sister. You know, she might like tandoori and you like chicken. Yes, you're that close. But no, I met her in a bar. I was at a nightclub. I was waiting for a friend, and I saw her walk across the room, and she was by herself, which is so rare. You never see girls by themselves at bars. And I had to go up and talk to her because she had some of the longest hair I've ever seen in my life. It was huge, like it was so long, it went down to her lower back, and it was very feminine. And I'm attracted to very feminine girls, especially very feminine hair. And I walked up to her, I just casually walked up and I tapped her on the shoulder, and she turned around, and she was one of the most beautiful girls I've ever seen. And we spoke for about 5 minutes. She had one of the most fantastic personalities of all the girls I've met in my life. She had one of the most fantastic personalities. She was full of, she's traveled a lot, she spoke a few languages, she was so smart. This girl had a PhD, and she studied history, and she was so brainy, and I love that. And I said to her, "You have the most beautiful hair I've ever seen." And she goes, "Thank you. I'm a hair model." And I'm like, "Yeah, what's a hair model?" She goes, "Well, have you ever been to a pharmacy and you see those packets of hair dye? I'm sometimes featured on there. I'm a face on those packets of a different color hair." I'm like, "There's an actual job title for that?" She goes, "Yeah, that's what I do." And I said, "Wow." And she goes, "Yeah, I also go to fashion shows. I travel, they fly me around the world, and I go to fashion shows, and I sit down in the middle of a stage, and a gay fancy hairdresser comes up and starts cutting my hair." And I'm like, "Wow, that's amazing." And she goes, "Yeah, yeah." And the thing is, I started playing with her hair, right? I said, you're talking to her, playing with her hair, and she was liking it. But I had a ring on. Now, I'm a big fan of Lord of the Rings, right? And my sisters, I have a lot of sisters, and they pitched in, they bought me a 24-karat gold ring, a Lord of the Ring, for my birthday. And it was pretty bulky, it's a big ring, and I started playing with her hair, and it got caught. I'm like, what's going on here? And I started pulling it. And she goes, "Oh, it's caught my hair." And I said, "I'm really sorry." And I kept tugging it, and I pulled it really hard, and her whole hair went. And it completely came, like she was wearing a wig. I couldn't believe it. She was like Britney Spears underneath it, and she was completely shaved off. And I was like, "Oh, what's going on?" She goes, "Oh," and she was really embarrassed, right? And I said, "Well, you were wearing a wig? You lied to me." And she goes, "Oh, listen, I went to a fashion show and they dyed my hair, and they have to shave it off because if you dye it too many times, of course you're going to poison it, it's going to drop off, so you have to shave your head." And I said, "I'm really sorry for lying to you." And I said, "That doesn't matter. It doesn't bother me at all." Because she was such a fantastic girl. She was so interesting. She traveled the world. It didn't bother me. And she ended up being my girlfriend for the next 3 months, and she moved in with me. She stayed with me for 3 months, and then she got a call to go back to Germany, which is where she was from. And she goes, "Oh, listen, I've got to go back to Germany." And I said, "Why?" And she goes, "Well, I've got to work over there. I've got to go to university." But Alex, spending the last 3 months with you was some of the fun times I've ever had in my entire life, and it really meant a lot to me deep down in here. And we're still friends. We still talk to over email and chats and stuff. She's such a really close friend of mine. But yeah, I only say it because you look exactly like her. You're like her twin sister. And let me just stop the story there for a second. That was the story. Now you notice that story. It's a very long story, but it might, if you condense it, it might take about 3 to 5 minutes to talk about the entire story. But it reveals so much about you. It reveals the fact that you casually walked up to her and started talking to her, and that reveals a very attractive trait, that you have confidence. It shows that you admire brains over beauty, that you like girls being smart and well-traveled, and have the intellectual capability of learning different languages and challenging you and telling stories. You value that more over her butt and her boobs. It reveals that you can commit to girls, that you can date a girl for 3 months and she moved in with you, and you're not just out there to play the field. You're there to commit to girls if you find the one, if you find a girl that you like, genuinely like and sincerely like, that you can settle down with her. It also shows that when she went away, she said, spending the last 3 months with you has been the most important part of my, most exciting part of my life. That actually displays a lot. That's massive social proof. It displays a lot about you and living with you. So it kind of sets the girls up, and she'll be wondering, I wonder what it is like to live with you. So they're just four the basic primary I suppose attributes that you display by telling that story. So that's the first story, the weak story. The second story is actually one of my favorites as well. This is called